Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalren, and today's video I just want to talk a bit about tanks and how could tanks ruin Legion PvP. Now, before I go on, I do need to say this is Legion beta. Anything can change by the time it's out of the beta, by the time it's released on August. And I'm sure that the whole tanks being overpowered thing is going to change. I am fairly certain of it. I'm just making this video just to make sure that this is said, because I feel like it needs to be said. I feel like people do need to say that, hey, just to make sure, let's just agree so that everybody knows that tanks tanks in PvP, tanks being stronger than some of the DPS in PvP is not a good thing. I am fine with the idea of tanks PvP. Chances are in beta tanks won't be this overpowered, but I still feel like it needs to be said just in case this goes live, because we all thought Warlords of Draenor was going to be an awesome expansion. A lot of people were excited for it, and then when the game actually released, it just didn't satisfy the needs that everybody had for an epic World of Warcraft expansion. So I feel like with Warlords Draenor happened, and if Warlords Draenor is a thing that did happen, then just to make sure we cover all the bases, we should talk about this. All right, so tanks in Legion Beta. Currently, most tank specs are stronger than their DPS counterparts. The only DPS spec that is stronger than the tank that I've seen so far, I would say an Unholy DK definitely blows a Blood Death Knight out of the water in a BG situation where you can spread multiple dots. The Blood Death Knight doesn't take that much damage. I've played it. It is a bit insane. You deal okay damage. You have okay healing. In an arena situation though, against another tank, I would say a Blood DK has a bit more consistent healing. Maybe a Demon Hunter can beat a Blood DK, maybe a Monk can beat a Blood DK. But I've seen situations where there are Brewmaster Monks running around, dealing just as much damage as a Windwalker, if not more, and they have better survivability. So why would anybody want to play a Windwalker Monk for PvP when they could play Brewmaster, which deals the same damage and just outlast the Windwalker in a long run? The answer is nobody really wants to play the Windwalker then. Everybody's going to end up playing Brewmaster. So what's the point of having the Windwalker? I don't see much. Same thing goes for Arms Warriors, Fury Warriors, and Protection Warriors. Currently, Arms Warrior and Fury Warrior both in a single global. Once they have all their cooldowns lined up and abilities set up, all your abilities put together, you have a potential burst that can crit for at least 1 million. And I know that to be true from playing a Protection Warrior. I know that to be true from getting hit by Fury Warriors and Armored Warriors. But the thing is, Protection Warrior, besides having to line up the burst, deals basically a similar amount of sustained damage and has better survivability than an Arms Warrior or Fury Warrior. So what's the point of playing Arms or Fury if Protection Warriors can deal the same amount of burst, fairly similar sustained damage, but they can live longer? And I can do this for Demon Hunters and their tank counterparts. I could do this for Druids and their bear counterparts, although I'm not sure I've seen that many bear tanks dealing insane amount of damage in BGs. I just know that they're really tanky, and they can deal a decent single target damage, maybe just as much damage as a Pharaoh. But I could be wrong in that case because I haven't played one. But from what I've seen though, I know the Demon Hunters deal insane damage and are viable as a DPS tankish dealing character. Protection Warriors, Protection Paladins, we've seen plenty of Protection Paladins do the things they do. Brewmasters, I've seen those. So 4 out of 5 tanks. So that's still pretty good and bad, because the fact that tanks are dealing more damage than DPS basically puts the DPS out of the situation, out of playability. You might as well play the tank because he deals a lot more damage, and I just don't really know what else to say. I am completely fine with the fact that a tank should have some room in PvP meta. They should be able to be viable in one way or another, but they shouldn't be better than a DPS. Now, I guess this is where normally people would say that, oh, here's some of the examples of how this can be changed, how this can be implemented. How can we have a tank be viable for PvP in specific situations, but not better than a DPS? And I don't have the answer for these kind of things. I just simply don't really know myself, to be honest. I'm not a game developer. I'm not a game designer. I'm not really sure how this has been fixed before in the past. For the most part, tanks have been able to survive in a 1v1 situation, maybe a 1v2 situation to a certain extent, but that's really about it. But I don't want to see tanks running around 2's arenas dominating PvP, let alone battlegrounds. That is the last thing that I want to see. I'd rather prefer DPS classes running around, dealing the damages, having some sort of survivability, than a tank just living and tanking through all the thick and thick of the damages and just not even caring. And well, as I'm continuing the rest of the commentary, please enjoy the footage in the background of me having a 1v1 with a Fire Mage who's a very skilled player. He knew exactly what to do. He played his class to its max potential, and I just rolled my face on the keyboard as a warrior. At one point, like every time I got rooted, I just took a sip of my soda, and for the most part, I'm just standing there. I'm sitting there in front of my PC, pressing random buttons, thinking, okay, I guess I can just ignore pain here. Okay, I'll just add to the stack of shield slam. Okay, I'll just ignore pain here. I had no idea what I was doing. The fact that I beat him made me feel disgusting. I'm not even joking. It's a bit ridiculous, but. I mean, the guy even juked me. He even juked me, ledge juked me, and I still beat him. And it's just like, I was looking through this footage and I was thinking like, how? This shouldn't have been a reason why I won. But I did, because tanks and warriors and fun. Not really. Anyway. So that is my argument for not having tanks be that viable for PvP, because they basically ruin PvP and everything PvP offers. What's fun about it being a tank is maybe just the ability of, hey, it's hard for me to die, but by no means should you deal in as much damage as a DPS-based character. A tank is, at least in a PvE raid group, is supposed to be the character to take on the aggro from boss and be able to take the least amount of damage of the group, but he is not a DPS character. That means he's not there to deal with the damage. He's there to hold the aggro. So I feel like the tank's role for PvP should be different than that of a DPS. He shouldn't be able to deal nearly as much damage in terms of burst. Maybe it's okay for tanks to have some sort of sustained damage and some form of survivability, but maybe not a particular burst. Maybe they should have some sort of CC or defensive capabilities or maybe mobility, just something unique to make them stand up for themselves in PvP. But I feel like maybe the damage is the issue and maybe the damage is the cause of it. Maybe it's the defensives. I would be fine if like a tank were to lose a lot of the defensives once they enter PvP, or maybe have their health reduced by a ton. Or something like that. Just some defensives not able to be used well in PvP, so then they won't be any different than that of a DPS. They'll just look different. They'll have a different weapon. That's really the only thing that'll make them different, is the buttons they press compared to, I don't know. If they made protection warriors just as killable as the Fury arms, then maybe that'll make sense. Otherwise, let me know, guys, what you think about the video. My name is Dalren, talking about tanks in the Legion Beta PvP. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it.